On me and my friend's Minecraft server exists an unsolved mystery. A mystery of lies, deceit, and griefing. A mystery hidden beyond the streets of the town and behind a beautiful forest. I'm your host Chris, and welcome to the unsolved mystery of Braxton's house. Today is July 31st, roughly about 11 o'clock at night. Me and my three friends Braxton, Josiah, and Sean all logged on to fight the Wither. Now, admittedly, we may have cheesed the Wither 1, 2, maybe even 3 times, but we had no idea what would happen later that day. The time is now 11:30. All players are accounted for at this point. Josiah was making a beacon inside of our trophy hut to mark our victory. Sean was trading with the villagers to get a ton of emerald blocks for his beacon. I was redoing the entrance to our villager area. And finally, Braxton was finishing up his house. Now, all these alibis do have proof. Every single one of the players can vouch for where everyone was following us killing the Wither. The issues start to arise when the clock hit midnight, however. By this time, some of us were just floating around in our AFK pool as we joked around. Some of us were planting an ungodly amount of cherry blossom trees, or making changes to the white market, like a window. And a few minutes later, we would start to log off. Some of us had gym in the morning. Some of us had work. Others of us just wanted to be normal people and have a regular sleep schedule. We began logging off one by one. Me first, Josiah second, and Sean and Braxton last. The server would sit dormant for the next 3 days, until on August 3rd, when we would log back on. Here's a reenactment of those events. Alright, I need to go add some sugarcane up here. What happened here? I spent the next several minutes going from house to house, build to build, seeing if there was any more damage. After about 5 minutes, I had confirmed that the damage was only kept to his house, and then a few minutes later, Josiah would hop back on. When asked about what happened to Braxton's house, Josiah said he knew nothing about it and he hadn't been on the server since July 31st, same thing as I. And with there being more than 30 minutes until someone else would hop online, I took it into my own hands to live up to my job title of Fire Marshal. I suited up and began making my way back to the site. As I continued to look around the remains of the house, I had finally decided it wasn't TNT that did this. Matter of fact, someone had lit a fire. This was made apparent by the fact that all the glass in the house was untouched, along with the stone foundation and the stone pillars that held up the second floor, meaning the only things affected in the house were the wooden floors and the wooden walls. With no idea what had happened, me and Josiah waited 30 minutes for someone else to hop online. At this time, Sean had hopped onto the server, and immediately me and Josiah asked, since he was one of the last people to get off the server, what had happened, and if he knew anything. And almost immediately, Sean denied that he had any part to do with it, which left us with one final suspect. Had Braxton burned his own house down? We needed to know. We proceeded to call Braxton, and when he answered, we asked him what had happened to his base. We then showed him through a video, and he claimed he knew nothing about it, as him and Sean and Josiah had logged off relatively close, and maybe only a couple minutes after I had logged off. We'd run our server on a third party, and in order to log onto the server, someone has to start up the server. Now, only 5 people have ever played on the server, and only 3 of us have access to turn the server on. Me, Josiah, and Sean, the only 3 people with the capability to log on without anybody else on the server. Now, I know what you may be saying. Well, obviously then it wasn't Braxton. But here's the thing. After we log off the server still stays on for roughly 5 minutes with no activity, meaning any 4 of us, including Braxton, who can't start the server, could have logged back on and done something like this. But we may never know, so let me present some theories. Theory number 1, Braxton had a fireplace in his house, and it just got out of hand. Now at this time it is unconfirmed whether he had a fireplace or if he had something in his house that contained fire that could have spread to the rest of it. So this theory is plausible, but is it probable? Theory number 2. Following my exit of the server that night, maybe a confrontation happened between 1 or 2 players, where a fire was lit without someone else knowing. However, this theory is very improbable. We don't do griefing on this server. We respect each other's houses very much and each other's builds. This one, even though it is possible, it's not very probable. Leading to our third theory and the most probable theory. One of us 3 logged back on and set his house ablaze. Like I mentioned earlier, only 3 of us can start the server, and within those 3 days, someone must have logged back on. This theory also has evidence, as when we had logged off the server that night, the day was 4:50. And when we logged back on yesterday, the day was 4:60, meaning someone had played 10 in-game days within those 3 days. Who was it? We may never know. We don't have access to see who turned the server on and off within that time, so this would be very difficult to find out who played during those 10 days. So as of right now, the mystery of Braxton's house remains unsolved and haunts the Minecraft server to this very day.